Hallo folkens, mitt navn er Severin Eskland.
Og mitt navn er Tommy Myrbostad.
Dette er Cinema Bizarro sin podcast.
Og dette er vårt intervju med Ari Lehman.
Følg fuckings med.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Talk to me, man. Oh,
Yeah,
I'll put my headphones on.
good idea.
That might help.
It might help.
Okay.
Okay, how do you hear me
Now
now?
you're, oh my God, you're too loud now. Get
You're
away.
too loud, yeah.
I got you. Because I turned up the volume.
Yeah, okay.
There we go. Okay.
Anyway, welcome.
Thank you.
It's fantastic that you want to do this with us.
Oh, of course. No, it's an honor. It's an honor.
Because we're
As you
just
say, I don't know how you pronounce it there, but it's like Jason Aldrig Dor or something like that.
Oh.
Or is it Dor Aldrig? Something.
aldrig dør.
What? Wait. Aldrig Dor. Dor.
Yeah.
Aldrig Dor. I'll get it later.
Yeah, you get it later.
Yes. Never die.
Fantastic. So, Chicago, you started with that. Is it cold as hell?
Chicago's pretty cold. Yeah. Chicago's cold. Maybe not as cold as Norway, but you know, I mean, Jason's used to the cold. Chris, he lives in a cabin in the woods, you know. Are there a lot of Jason fans in Norway?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
There's
great.
there's a lot, and you know, the Friday films are basically you know, the standout point for a lot of filmmakers, including myself. You know, we all started there.
Well, I mean, it seems like there's an affinity for Jason in many wooded locations, you know, where there's a lot of forest and a lot of woodlands, and people get time to have that eerie feeling of being alone in the woods at night. And, you know, that's definitely Jason's stomping ground. So, you know, and that kind of loner who's out in the woods survival guy, you know. So I think that in certain regions of the world, like here in Canada and north of America, you know, there's a lot of Jason fans out there. So you know, anywhere there's a lot of woods, but yeah, you know, Jason doesn't mind the cold though. He could go right in Crystal Lake. It's not a problem. But so you see a lot of filmmakers use that as a reference point. Yeah, well, it's definitely important film in terms of changing, I think, the way that horror was being presented. You know, in the 70s, you have a lot of female-driven, very mystical movies with very underworld themes. Like you've got The Exorcist, and you've got Rosemary's Baby, and you know, you've got Carrie, you know, where it's a woman who's the center focus, and then it's something very underworldly, something that has to do with sin and retribution and all that.
Yeah.
And then there was Jaws. Jaws came out all of a sudden and reminded us all how much we all love a monster. a great monster that's just so much fun to watch. And then taking a safe place like the beach on a summer day and making it into a scary place in the same way that Friday the 13th did with the summer camp. So, I think that it is kind of a movie which, I'm not going to go off and say it's a great film, or anything like that, but it's definitely, it's a turning point, you could say. And I'm glad that's appreciated over there.
You mentioned Carrie. There's a saying that on the set, your scene in the ending, was that supposed to happen, or did they come up with it during filming?
Oh, there's a connection there, definitely. As a matter of fact, filming had wrapped in August of 1979, and there was no final sequence at that time. So the only incarnation of Jason Voorhees ever was going to be a little boy drowning, and that's it. And I went home and I thought, gosh, I've been in a movie as a strange child that drowns. That's it for me, there goes my career. And then I got this phone call from Sean, and he said, we need you to come back to the set. And I said, how can I come back? My character died. And he said, no. And it's interesting what he said. He said, this was in August. So in October, they had wrapped. Actually, I said August. Just got it backwards. In August, they had wrapped, okay? So in October now, he called me, okay, to come back to the set, okay, and get back in the water in October. But I didn't care, of course. But so indeed, in between though August and October, they had, first of all, the production team said to him, we need something more. This ending, we need something more here. This ending isn't working. So they got the idea from Carrie. Now, with the surprise ending at the very end, when the hand comes out under the bed, which again, is she dreaming or what? So, and this motif was used also in Nightmare on Elm Street to a certain extent, but in Friday the 13th, they definitely made the most out of that jump scare. Okay, so they called me back, and of course, Sean said to me, you get your revenge, which I thought was fantastic. But when I got to the place, they handed me a script and it said, Alice's dream. And I said, what do you mean it's a dream? Screw that, man. She killed my mom. I get my revenge, you said, And Sean said, no, it's a dream. It's just a dream. And so Savini took me aside. Tom Savini said, what's the matter, Ari? And I was like, this isn't a dream. I'm real. I'm coming back from the dead to avenge my mother's death. And he's like, okay. You believe that and, play it like that. And that's fine. So ultimately, with that in mind, Sean says to me, Ari, the cameras are rolling. But he didn't tell anybody else the cameras are rolling. He didn't tell Savini, he just told me the cameras are rolling. He said, you're not going to be able to hear me say action. So you're the director. So when you go underwater, just wait for the bubbles to clear and then jump out and grab Adrian. But he didn't give me any blocking, any choreography, any like put one hand here, do this. Like I had to figure that all out basically underwater. And the one question that was in my mind, of course, was I going to do it with brutality or was I going to do it, was I going to fake it?
Yeah.
And I thought because because we were shooting film. And you get, what is it, 13 minutes of film, and then they got to change the film, and the sun changes and everything, and everybody's pressure. So, and the sun was setting, as a matter of fact. So I just made the decision. I said, bitch killed my mom. Fuck this. And I grabbed the side of the boat. I just went wham. And I came and I looked and I could see she was totally not ready. Tom was supposed to move the boat and nobody knew. And so I was in mid and I just had to commit myself, I went in there, bam. And you see her face just changes and then they cut. And if you look back, because if you look at the GIF, you could see they sandwiched that first take with the second take, okay?
Yeah.
The close-up is the first take where her face changes out of actual horror and maybe just genuine disgust in terms of, why did I take this job? There's a child grabbing me. And now back to real life, she grabs my arms and says, get off of me. And then she's like, oh shit. And she fell out of the boat, face forward into the water. Skabash. Now I'm like, oh my God, I've ruined the whole movie. What's going to happen? So Sean's looking at me and I'm looking at him and he's like, Ari, you didn't really have to attack Adrian. I'm like, and there's this famous picture where he's talking to me and Adrian's going like this. And I'm like, what? Because I'm like, this is a horror movie, right? So anyway, he said, for the second take, just go through the motions, Oh yeah, thanks, Sean. He just didn't want her to know that he had told me to scare the crap out of her, So anyway, that was fine. I didn't mind taking the blame for it. When I saw it on screen and they said, yes, they used that part. So I was very happy with that. But I think kudos have to go to Sean in the sense that he thought very shrewdly about how to make what he really needed to happen. And one of the things that he did was that he implicitly trusted me. He showed me that he trusted me. He even used the phrase, you're the director. He said, you're not going to be able to hear me say action, so you're the director. So as a little kid, I was aware of the responsibility, but also in a way, wow, this is cool, man. It was like the first time you get to drive a car. I was like, woo, let's go. So that's why I decided, and I'm glad I made that decision, even though for many months I was convinced that I was a deranged child that had ruined the picture until I saw it on the screen and I said, yes, vindication. That's what he wanted. So in the end, he was always very good working with kids, Sean Cunningham. His real biggest hit was Spring Break. I don't know if you guys know that, but that was his big movie. So he always wanted to do movies with kids, and he's very good at making those things happen. So I think, and for any filmmaker, working with kids is always a great thing to do because they have just an innate, if you find a kid who's good in front of the camera, of course, there's a lot of sensitivities that have to be dealt with about their feelings and everything. For instance, they always say about the boy in The Shining, and I know his name, and I'm blanking on it for a reason. I don't know
Danny.
why. Because Danny
Torrance.
Yes, Danny. Yes. Now he's a wonderful person, and at that time they didn't make him aware really that he was in a horror film.
That's
with me, it was the opposite. I scared the crap out of everybody on the set. Like I wasn't afraid. Are you kidding me? No, I liked that odd feeling of being the monster. Of course, I think any kid would. Now, of course, Danny's role wasn't like that.
And you were 14
Yeah,
What did your parents know about this last scene?
not really, not really. My parents, in all truth, didn't really know what was going on. Um, Not to say they didn't love me and care for me, and they were very devoted parents, you know. They knew I had a job in a movie. See, now, prior to this film, there was a movie about a ragtag bunch of orphans that win their orphanage back from the mob in a soccer tournament. And
Manny's
that's the
Orphans.
movie. Thank you. Okay. That's the one that I was cast for. So, in their mind, you know, Sean was the kind of guy who directed these fun comedies about kids. And the only thing they didn't like about that is, you know, they had to get me to the set really early, and they were like, what does this guy think? You know, he's a kid, you know, they wanted me to go to school and be a normal kid. And they kind of objected when I was like I was removed, like I was going to be on the soccer team or something, and then there were no, so I was doing movies, so whatever, you know. So they really wanted my life to be more normal. So I didn't tell them all that much about Friday the 13th. They didn't like horror films. And this was the worst thing that happened. The New York Times did a scathing bad review. I don't know if you guys know this.
I know.
Back in those days, the New York Times was like no one would listen to anything anyone said in public about any political topic unless it was in the New York Times Sunday edition. Like that was everything. So when my father and mother saw this terrible review of Friday the 13th, where they even said, call Betsy Palmer, and gave out her number. Do you know about this?
This is Gene Siskel, right?
Yes, that might have been in the Post. I can't. One was in the Times, one was in the Post, but they just, oh my gosh. And my parents were like, I don't know what you're doing. But then again, they, you know, in all honesty, at that time, my focus was learning how to play jazz piano. So, you know, I wasn't, you know, I had enjoyed immensely being on the set of Friday the 13th. That was the most fun because, you know, I was the only kid in a summer camp, and everybody was having a good time, and we were working together, and it was so much fun. But I was also aware that most movie sets are not like that. And TV sets are even super stressful. You know, honestly, it wasn't the world for me. I definitely gravitated towards music.
Yeah. So when this came out, you were about 14 or 15 when it came out.
15.
What did your friends think when you were actually the one who gave America a real good scare at the time?
Well, okay, at that time in America, horror was very taboo, okay? And a horror movie like Friday the 13th, it was like, I was like one step above having been in a porno movie, you know? Like, honestly, guys, at that time, it wasn't something I would bring up in high school.
No.
It wasn't because, and I was in junior high when I made it, and then high school. So to be a kid of that age, now here's something else. The amazing actress, Linda Blair, also came from the same town, Westport, Connecticut. Yes, Westport, Connecticut. That's where Linda Blair also came from. So there was already a kind of real stigma attached in Westport to having been like, oh, you want to be an actor, but you did horror? Oh my God, you're going to end up like Linda. And I'm like, what's wrong with that? I think she's amazing, you know? But, you know, people, whatever. And
yeah, people.
In all truth, I met these amazing music teachers that really turned me on to that. And there's a certain competitive element in the big Hollywood and TV world. It wasn't for me. So I was happy to kind of get in and get out. Now, it wasn't until part 3 came out, guys. Okay, it was when part 3 came out and the hockey mask came out. Okay.
Hey, now cut that out right now. That's not funny.
That I was in high school, and then people would come up to me, you know, and then I was like, okay, you know, that's cool. You know, I felt cool. And then I was, you know, I was doing a lot of theater and I was playing jazz. So I was very happy at that point. But originally, for like the first 2 years, let's say, it was definitely kind of strange.
But tell us about your first time watching this movie. What was your reaction?
Well, the first time when I saw it, of course, was in the movie theater in Westport. So there was a lot of people there and there was a lot of support. And, you know, most of the film, I'm not there until the end, okay? So at first, when I saw the drowning sequence, you know, I was kind of like, well, you know, okay, I drowned and it looks pretty pathetic. And I was like, you know, it's just a flashback, you know, it's not even it's, you know, what's going on there? But then when I saw that final scene, I felt vindicated in a way. Until, of course, she wakes up in the hospital. I said, what?
Yeah.
You know, so I didn't even kill her, you know? It's like, you know how they say Jason kill count 146. Well, I'm like, first Jason kill count 0. You know, I got nothing. But in a way, you know, I immediately sort of saw it in a humorous way, you know, and especially the fact that myself, like at that time, I was being drawn to playing reggae music and world music and being very peaceful and very spiritual and peace and love, man, you know. So here I was like, peace and love, man, but I was Jason. So I would think, you know, what if Jason was a hippie or something like that, you know? I've often thought recently of something like that too. Like, what if you're in the woods, you know, on a beautiful day, the sun is shining, and this man, this really huge man in orange robes comes up, and then he turns around, and you realize he's like Swami Jason Voorhees Ananda, you know? He's like, do you have trouble getting into those yoga positions? I can help you with that. Wait, here, you know. So I just thought it was so funny that I was, you know, the person who, for whatever universal reason, you know, so I've always embraced it with, I think, a healthy attitude of fun and not, you know, any weird, you know, ideation. Because, you know, after all, there's that wonderful relationship, I think, with Mom, okay, with Pamela. So I got to meet Betsy Palmer and to do conventions with her. And she helped to put my head on straight about the whole thing and just to give me a wonderful sense of humor about it. And if anyone, I know that in Norway, many people didn't get the opportunity to meet this wonderful lady. And I can't say more about her than, I mean, she was just the most amazing person. And she would make people laugh so hard. We would do panels together, okay? And I would come out in like my metal gear and be, oh, Mr. Tough Guy. And then she would come out in her little sweater with her old lady thing and just start making penis jokes. I mean, she would have people laughing so hard. I've literally saw her make people fall out of their chairs at like 11 in the morning at a convention. She was just the best. And she was famous for that. She was on a show called I've Got a Secret on TV. And she was like famous for being a panelist. And she played my mom in Friday the 13th. She shared the same birth date with my mom, Rita Lehman. Betsy Palmer and her were born on November 1st. So we just hit it off. You know, we had so much fun together. She was a vegetarian like me. So we would go when everybody was like, oh, we're going to eat steaks, you know, Big Jason's. And we would go get Italian food and a bottle of wine. And oh my gosh. And she used to always say to me, Ari, pass the joint. It's not a microphone. Because she could, and she would tell stories. Oh my God, you know. So that was one of the greatest things about being a part of Friday the 13th is that I got to be her dear friend, and she took me under her wing at all those conventions.
Yeah,
you know,
how are those conventions? You know, how many conventions do you do a year on a normal year?
I got to admit that when Betsy was alive, the conventions, you had Fangoria.
Yeah.
See, that was the real deal because Fangoria would bring in the production houses from LA, you know, from Hollywood. So it was like, it wasn't like you come up to the table and you're paying, like even back then, people wouldn't pay for autographs. We were paid and we would sign, but also that's before there were cell phones and the whole selfie thing. So I did a lot more conventions back then. Now I'm focusing on doing concerts with First Jason. So nowadays I do more concerts with First Jason, and I'll do maybe less than half a dozen of the conventions because they've changed a lot. And, you know, there's a lot of different reasons for that. One is, of course, the selfie thing. The other thing is when The Walking Dead kind of eclipsed the whole scene.
Yeah.
And that changed a lot about how much is charged for all these different things. And what I like to do is we go to a little rock club. And, you know, we can do this in Norway when they open the planes again.
Yeah.
We just go to a little rock club and we get together with any bands from that town who are into horror, okay? They're death metal, they're horror punk, they're horrorcore, hip hop, whatever, anything. You know, death, bluegrass, bring it on, you know, anything. So, and we make it like a little mini horror night. So we do a meet and greet sometimes, and this past year, there's been a lot of those at drive-in movie theaters. So they'll show Friday the 13th, and First Jason will perform, and they project it on the screen, you know. But no matter what it is, we just like to take the little venue and do it that way. And I do fantastic at the table, the merch table, and everybody does really well. So if I do like 3 of those or 4 of those, you know, we just go town to town. Like we're getting ready. We'll be in Chicago, then we're going to Lincoln, Nebraska. Then we'll be out in Kansas City. Then we'll be in Wichita, Kansas. Then we're going to Tulsa, Oklahoma. We just go everywhere. That's coming up in March, at the beginning of March. So.
And how is the situation there with the pandemic and stuff like that? How is the concert scene?
Well, it's horrible, man. You know, you know how it's horrible. Honestly, First Jason, since we draw about 200 to 300, not 2,000 to 3,000 or 10,000, okay, we've been able to basically continue almost throughout the pandemic. At one point, all the shows were kind of moved out to the parking lot or drive-in movie shows or just outdoor shows. Just yesterday, they opened all the bars again. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So things are going to change back. But to me, it was important to keep doing everything that I can to help those little rock clubs, those little venues in these far-flung towns, because they've always been there for me. And we'll do these tours, and you know, they were going through a lot of hard times, as you can imagine. Okay, first with the total quarantine, and then with small things. So when they said, "Oh, we can bring in First Jason and do like a parking lot show, and you know, meet and greet, and you know, keep things going and make a little money and get the bands happening." So I'm very, very proud and happy that we've been able to do that throughout the United States. And, you know, I've been going out there, and you meet people who don't have a choice. It's like they don't have a choice to stay home. They have a job, which, you know, I talked to a longshoreman, I talked to policemen, I talked to doctors and nurses, you know, so whatever that we can do as entertainers, I think we've got to step it up. Now, I love online stuff, and this is amazing, talking to you two in Norway.
Fantastic.
You know, it is amazing, and there's no doubt about that. But the essence of First Jason is that you get to meet the first Jason who scared you when you watched, you know, and you get to tell me, you get to talk to me, you know, and so, you know, I love all of this, but I think it's essential. Live music, man. What can I say? You know, that's what it's all about. When you're in a venue and it's rocking, and we get to meet these amazing bands, and I get to stand there and watch these bands, you know, that's what I live for. So, is my only task. My only armor is a golden mask. You know.
How did the name is of course the First Jason. When did you start this? When did you sort of
First Jason started in 2009, a little before that. That's when our first album came out. Our first album came out the same day as the remake with Derek Mears. It was on February 13th, 2009. Yeah. And so we have, look at that. We have, now we're working on our fifth album. We started out with Jason Is Watching. Then we did Heed My Warning. Then To Be a Monster. Then Lord of the Lake. Now we're working on Interslational. And, you know, I just have to say that the open-heartedness and open-mindedness and open-earedness, if that is a word, of the metal community is just amazing. And they have given me time to get my sound together, and they've laughed with me along the way. And you know, it's been a great ride, and I've got to open for some amazing acts. I've got to work at, you know, we've played at the Viper Room, we've played at, you know, all over the country, all big venues all over the country, and you know, we've opened for some big acts. And one of the best things that happened, I don't know, in Norway, I'm sure that there are some fans of Ice Nine Kills.
Yes.
Have you heard? Yes,
of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Spencer Charnas asked me to sing on one of their songs. Thank God It's Friday. So I did the acoustic version of Thank God It's Friday, and that got a lot of love. And so the remix of The Scapegoat that we're just about to drop, it's actually being digitally distributed as we speak. Yeah. That has some additional vocals from Spencer Charnas of Ice Nine Kills. So this has been a great relationship that has brought a great deal of attention to First Jason, and I appreciate that. They were scheduled to tour with Metallica, so yeah, and that tour all got canceled. So that might have been going through there. I don't know, but no matter what, everybody's coming through this, and we're all just gonna get together and make it happen again, because they're opening the clubs again. So
Yeah.
here we are.
Have you ever been to Norway?
No, I have never been to Scandinavia at all. I regret to say, because I really would like to go out there. Many
You're
times.
very much welcome.
Oh, thank you. Well, let's make it happen. I don't know why that can't happen in the near future. I think it's time to make that happen. And
there's
figure out a way.
There's a great Norwegian horror film festival that it's listed among the 30th best horror film festivals in the world. I have screened actually 3 films there, and we try to go there every year. So that would be a good thing to get you over there.
When do they do that usually? What time of year?
Tommy, isn't it October?
October.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I will, maybe like 2022 probably.
Yeah. Yeah. And what about you?
Let's talk to him.
You haven't directed any of your films. I see you have, 38 titles on IMDb. Which one of these films, do you, can pull out as a movie that you could recommend to others and stuff like that? How is your film career?
You mean one of my these indie horror films that I'm in? Well, I'll tell you. No, definitely check out The Barn.
I've seen. I saw the trailer just before our call, and I have to say I'm going to see that one.
Oh yeah, The Barn is really good. The Barn, that team is fantastic. They just are they're almost completed with The Barn 2.
Oh.
And The Barn 2 also features the same character, Dr. Rock. But see, in The Barn 1, the Barn, Dr. Rock is only on television. He's a video disc jockey. But in The Barn 2, he comes out and, he's actually a character. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And
I saw
some other ones.
And I saw there was a film made by Tom Holland.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Rock, Paper, Scissors, or Rock, Paper, Dead.
Yeah.
Rock, Paper, Scissors. That's a great one. I play a slightly sadistic orderly at an insane asylum. Yeah. And that was a lot of fun to shoot because when I got there, I took a cab from the hotel to the insane asylum where they were shooting it. And, the driver's like, where should I drop you? And I'm like, yeah, this is fine. So I start walking in and I see a doctor and a nurse and a patient, So I just walk in like, hey, I'm here for the movie shoot. And the doctor looks at me in horror. He's like, no, go back. It's like, that was really the actual insane asylum. So I said, whoa, man. So I was playing this orderly. So I thought, what I should do is I should walk through this hospital, to get into character, So I'm getting into character. I'm like absorbing the feeling because he's like a tough guy. He's like a tough guy, orderly. He yells at people. So I'm getting to so then all of a sudden I turn the corner and I realize, okay, this is the movie lot because they've got those trailers, those fancy trailers for every actor, and they've got catering. They've got all this beautiful catering. And then someone says, oh, Mr. Lehman, Keith is ready to do your hair. Go to the hair place, So I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to stay in character. How am I going to stay in character, So I went in there and sure enough, see, I'm just not Hollywood. They're all bubbling and talking and having a good time. So I see one of the other orderly actors there and I say, oh, let's read our lines, let's read our lines as we're getting our, and And so my first line is, "Sit the fuck down." That's my first line. So I just go, I'm full in character. "Sit the fuck down." And there's like dead silence. And everybody looks over at me in shock. Like, what is that guy's problem? So I'm like, wow, I realized how inappropriate that was. So then so Michael Madsen, the great Michael Madsen, is in this movie. And I saw him. He's doing his thing. But I noticed it's like 1 minute he was schmoozing with everybody, and then they're like, action, and boom, he's full in character. And he's doing his whole thing with his Michael Madsen moves, which are amazing. And he just instinctively knows where the camera is and all this stuff. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just like, so I'm looking at my phone. All of a sudden, someone taps me on the shoulder. He's like, "Aren't you the first Jason?" And I look up, and it's Michael Madsen. I'm like, "You're He's like, "Yeah, my son wants to talk to you. He's a big fan of your band." And I'm like, "What?" And the son's like, "Oh, you're so cool, bro." So anyway, Michael is the coolest guy in the world, right? Just he didn't need to do that. Right? And so I said to him, "Man, how do you do that?" And he said, "That's the thing, bro. You're not supposed to be an actor. Like in Hollywood, it's like everyone's an actor. You're not supposed to act. You're not supposed to be working on your thing. It's just supposed to." So, he hit me to that whole thing. So maybe now I could figure it out. If I could get over the traffic there, then maybe.
Would you have you ever thought about if you had the chance to direct a Friday the 13th movie?
Well, you are a very nice person. Man, I thought that I could direct music videos, okay? And if you look at some of my earlier music videos, like we did one for Jason's Bride, and then we did another one, what was that? I think the song was "Heed My Warning." And so my idea there, the concept was Jason battles an army of zombies.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's totally comic, man. It came out totally comic. It's just like, maybe, maybe one day if I really think about it. But see, what I realized is my strengths lie in songwriting and song performing, and that's really my strength. I would, Glenn, look at Glenn. Glenn Danzig just released something, and it looks pretty good. And Danny Trejo's in there. But I think that's important that we trust the people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So when I went to make, we did a video for Kill for Mother, which says, "Put on the mask, take on the task. Put on the mask, take on the task. Put on the mask, take on the task. Put on the mask, take on the task. Jason, kill for mother." And and it was so wild with that song because "Put on the mask, take on the task," and we released it in January. By March, everybody had to put on masks. So what that was, I don't know how that happened, bro. But I trusted people who do TV programs here in Chicago. This team, Kevin Epperson and Jason Deichler, they're called One Tier Productions. And they produced the Kill for Mother video, and then they produced the Voorhees is the name video. And in both of those videos, they take a different spin on it, where it's an inner city kid. In the first one, he's Latino. In the second one, he's Black. And they confront their bullies. They confront their inner demons by imagining themselves as Jason. They're kind of empowered like one finds a golden Jason mask, and he then avenges his mother's death. And then in the second one, the young boy finds a mask, and then he transforms into this huge Jason. We had this football player play Jason, so and a black Jason. So which again, Kevin put that out, and then it was just before Black Lives Matter. So when that came out, it was totally uncanny. It was like there was this huge Black Lives Matter thing, and we had a black Jason in our, which is frightening in itself. But anyway, that's what I found. And although, yes, I've had many ideas because my love of horror is so profound. I love the character of Svengali. I love Edgar Allan Poe's writings.
Yeah.
I love so much work. At one time, I had an idea where I wanted to take a picture of Dorian Gray and make it a female cast, okay?
Oh.
Switch it to a female, okay? But this is so long ago that I wanted Betsy to be in it, okay? And there was a lot of ideas circulating around that. And even Greg Nicotero, who's one of the greatest guys, he gave me some response, and he loved the idea. And you know what I said to him? It's so funny. I said to him, yeah, I think we need horror movies where it's about rich people, not all these horror things where you're out in the middle of the woods and somebody's fighting off some zombies. And this is before he did Walking Dead. So he said, well, yeah, I'm working on a project now that's kind of like that, but go ahead. See, I should have said, no, make me a hillbilly now. But timing, guys, I tell you, it's everything.
Tommy,
that's like the time I said I met Dario Argento, okay? I met Dario, okay? And just a foot in your mouth story, okay? So I see Dario. Now, I had just seen the movie Phenomena. Now, you remember at the end of Phenomena, there's a little boy in a boat. Remember, the boy is in the lake, the girl is in the boat, and at the very end, and then it goes on fire and everything.
No, please! No, please! No!
And I thought, wow, look at this. We totally stole this idea with the boy in the lake and the boat and everything. We totally stole it. So I was wrong. I saw Dario and I said, Signore, we totally took your idea from Phenomenon with the little boy in the lake. And he goes, no, tu è primo. I said, what? He goes, tu è primo. And so his translator said to me, no, you guys did that first because your movie was released and Phenomenon didn't come out till like 82 or 83.
Yeah.
So I had basically just accused him of stealing from Friday the 13th. So I said, Maestro, I'm sorry. And he said, no problem, But so there you go. I walked right up to the guy. I wanted to impress him, and I made a complete fool of myself. People have asked me to participate in various fan films that are about Friday the 13th, and I've done my best to participate as much as I can. I'm in an interesting project that you may have heard about. Deborah Sue Voorhees, who was in part 5. She's the lady who she's doing it with her boyfriend, and then he goes, and then Jason comes. You know this sequence, right? Or it's not actually Jason, it's Roy.
Yeah, sure.
Part 5. But so Deborah has a project, it's called 13 Fanboy. and that's coming out soon. That's got a lot of people from the franchise in it, and they're using one of my songs. They're using the song "Victim" in that. So
Cool.
that much I can confirm. 13 Fanboy looks like something really good.
I have to say, I'm new to your music. I really didn't know about this first Jason band until Severin mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. But I have listened to it a lot, and I must say, it's fucking awesome, man.
Thank you,
Great.
bro.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
music.
Thank
That's
you,
so
bro.
cool.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That means a lot to me. I've noticed that when we put out songs, and then I'll see information back, we do have a lot of love coming from Scandinavia.
Yeah.
I noticed that. So I think it's important that we get over there. I think that you all just love metal and rock.
We do.
over
We
there.
do.
Sure.
We do. We do.
And this machete-like keyboard, it's awesome. You have to bring that.
Oh, absolutely. I'll bring 2 of them.
Yeah,
No, those,
cool.
those are fun.
Yeah.
Those are so much fun to play. You know, I love doing that. Of course, sometimes it's hard when you bring a huge machete on the plane, though. You know. I remember where were we? We were in Holland. We did a show in Holland, and yeah, the machete part got lost at the Schiphol airport, and I said, you know, to the police guy, I said, "This is a one-of-a-kind instrument that's been lost. It's one-of-a-kind musical instrument," and they thought it was a Stradivarius or something. And they went around and they looked and they said, "Do you mean this?" And it's a giant 7-foot machete. I said, "Yes." They said, "Get out of here." Okay, skull.
Yeah,
Skål.
skull.
Is that what you say, skull?
Skål,
I
ja.
think Akavit, right? Give me some
Yeah.
Akavit.
Akavit. What do you think? You know, going back a little bit, what do you think of the show, the franchise in its entirety?
Well, you know, Friday the 13th as a franchise has uniquely kind of gone through some bumps and stumbles, you could say. Especially if you were to compare it to Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, they've had a couple of bumps themselves.
Yeah, no, I agree. But at least they have maintained the same production company and some of the same characters, some of the same actors throughout.
Yeah.
You know, even with Jamie Lee Curtis coming back recently, and so many things. Yeah, I know there's definitely better and worse versions. I mean, I do think that Friday the 13th always has the fans in mind because it's uniquely a fan. You know, if the fans didn't love the first Friday, there wouldn't have been a second Friday, and on and on and on.
Exactly.
So it's really the fans' love. First of, I think, the Camp Crystal Lake scenario, but then of Jason, big hockey mask Jason, they just grew to really love. So I do think that they've always come through for the fans, but I would like to see more of a cohesive story concept. I was friends with John Beekler, who of course brought Kane Hodder in, which was a great thing. And, you know, not to diminish any work of any other Jason, but what I liked about his approach was he kind of made a comprehensive story which included many different elements. Even if you look at the costume, if you look at the special effects, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And of course, because Beekler was an FX person from jump. So, and he was also a wonderful person. That's another thing that I think people don't like when we would do conventions with John, and he would come in, and in the morning he'd be singing some La Donna Mobile, and he'd be singing opera. And, you know, he was just one of these guys. He was very, you know, and just loved life, and just, oh gosh, he could tell you stories about Hollywood, but also very, very knowledgeable about literature. And as far as special effects goes, you'd be hard pressed to find anybody who knew more about the greats, about Dick Smith, about Lon Chaney, about, you know, and he could just go on and on and on. So, you know, it was sad and sudden when he was gone, because I had just worked with him on at a convention, and he was there at New Jersey Horror Con, and I could see that he was in considerable pain. But you know what? When those fans were there, he just, you know, he didn't let them see at all, you know, and he was there for them, and he would stand. I remember we had a line, I don't know, it must have been an hour or more to do pictures with me and Adrian and him, and I can't remember everybody who was there. I think they had Robbie Morgan, I think Amy Steele, and I think Ron Milkey, and here's John, and you know. And at one point I said, man, you know, I'm going to get him a chair, because, you know, he's been standing there for hours, you know, but he didn't let on at all. And just really just a big bull of a guy. And, you know, it's kind of hard to believe when someone like that is gone. But, you know, his concept, and he really embraced Jason and Friday the 13th as a classic film, and wanted to go along that line. So I think we would be well served to revisit that somehow, if and when things ever move forward. I mean, we know about this crazy lawsuit. I think eventually something will move forward.
What do you think of that
opinion, you know, I think it's.
Now, what do you think about the legal battles?
I think that what happened there, it's a challenge between the writer, Victor Miller, and Sean, okay? And I'm very naive. I thought that, I always think everybody can get along, and I don't understand. But what it really does come down to is ultimately that Sean feels that there's a lot of merchandising that has gone on without him being compensated. And I think that we could all look around the world and see there's a lot of hockey masks out there. So
really,
you know, they're everywhere, man. They're everywhere. But the thing is how do we reconcile that? And you know, that's up to the courts. But I often wish that everybody could just get along. But you know, it's a very complicated industry. Meanwhile, I mean, if you look at the sequence that we already have in play, I think that it's high time for something different. You know, like we can't just go back and revisit the same thing, because, you know, we've got 20 fan films now that do that. So Jason has to come into the future, guys. You know, Jason, you know, Jason's on Zoom, or
he's been to space though.
You're right. He did go into outer space. You're right. So what could he, maybe we get him a cell phone, because he can't talk, but maybe he could text. You know, you get a text from Jason. He's like, I'm right behind you. Oh, LOL.
He's writing it.
Exactly. He could text. He could text. Or what about some kind of thing? This is what I really think will happen. Like, there's a robot Jason, or an army of robot Jasons, or something. There's got to be something like that. It's got to have robots, you know, because there's like Jason is human, So, I've had some ideas along this line too. So, you're talking about me directing. That's what I would see. It would be like there's this army of robots, but they can't defeat Jason because of some strange reason. I don't know.
Have you seen those the fan film Never Hike Alone and the other one In the Snow? Actually,
I like that one a lot. I like that one. It was
very good.
I didn't see the new one In the Snow. I want to see that. I haven't. I should have seen that already.
It was
the
good.
first one they did though. I definitely think was excellent.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's probably
There's been
one
a
of
lot of fan films.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of them.
You were going to say it's probably one of the best ones. It is.
Yeah.
Isn't it strange to think that it's been like a decade now without Friday the 13th movie for first time ever? It's strange.
Yeah. I know.
I hope it
kind of makes
back.
It makes you wonder. It's like, how is he going to come? We've got to figure it out. But I think that ultimately, no matter what, the fans love Jason, so much. But it realistically, how old is he now?
Exactly.
How old is Jason? He's got a wheelchair now. Come back.
That's an awesome idea.
That's not politically correct. That's not politically correct.
Fantastic.
Or something. He's older. He's retired.
Me and Tommy, we're talking about these movies, this last week, on and back, every night now almost. We were talking about what do you think is best, and we all are different in what we choose. My personal favorite is the one I saw when I was 10 years old. A girl in my school dared me to see this movie with this guy had a hockey mask. And I said, okay, what's this? You have to see this thing. And I saw it, and I couldn't sleep for like 2 weeks. and this was Ted White.
Oh, he's great. Yeah.
He's fucking fantastic. So Friday 4 was my first experience. So it's so dark and gritty, and it's no humor at all.
It's frightening.
It's frightening. It's the most frightening Friday movie.
Yeah.
It's
frightening. And Ted White, I mean, my God, that is the film that ultimately had, I guess you could say, Hollywood production values. And a great actor, Ted White, who was John Wayne's stunt double for 17 years. And he's 90
something
8 now. And I bet you that as we speak, he's hunting elk in Colorado, or he's working on a transmission or something. I mean, he's amazing, this guy. Last time I saw him, I was working in Niagara Falls, and I was signing. Somebody picks me up. Put me down. And I turn around, and he's like, gotcha. And he said to me, because, crazy Ari, my band, we were in Niagara Falls, Canada, but we were going to go play in Niagara Falls, America, which is right across the border. But that meant, of course, that me and the band had to go in a van across the border, play the show, and then come back, and then, et cetera, et cetera. And so Ted said, Ari, I think you're crazy, but here, take my card, and if you get into trouble, you call me. But if I hear you got into trouble and you don't call me, you're going to be in trouble with me. And that's Ted White,
I love that story. I love that story from Friday 4 when the actress Judy Aronson was under. She was naked in the boat, and Ted went up to Joseph Sitter, the director, and said, "Either you take her out or I walk."
Oh yeah, no, it's true, because yeah, she was, that was not. And see, what's so odd is that people always ask me, Ari, was the water cold? Was the water cold?
Yeah.
For me, at Camp Crystal Lake in New Jersey, where I was, it was not cold. And I was just there this past summer. And again, I got in the water and it's very warm. It's like, you know, I don't know why, but not for Judy. She was in a situation where it was
horrible.
Yeah, and if not for Ted, according to what I've heard, she would have maybe gotten hyperthermia.
Yeah, she got that. She got that. And
that
was
should
sick.
never happen on a film. That
No.
should never ever happen on a film, because there's no reason to do that. As
No.
Kane Hodder always says, the safer something is, the scarier it looks.
Yeah, exactly.
There's never a reason to do that. I have no idea what happened there. But the funny thing is, you hear the great stories about Ted. There's two great stories. The one where he found out that there was a highway rest area right near, within walking distance of the set. So he decided he was still in makeup, you know.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He had everything on. And so, and you know, so he saw some people coming up to, you know, to some old guy was getting to go pee in the rest area. And he pops out of the woods. The guy looks at him and he turns around, gets back in the car, drives off, screaming. His wife is, what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh my God. Oh, and then the other story is, well, a certain young Corey Feldman was a little bit, let's say, mischievous.
I know.
yeah.
They didn't get perfectly along.
No. Well, you know, I don't know. I mean, I know how it was like to be a kid on the set. You know, I was spoiled because there was really no downtime. You know, I had a great time, and everybody just thought I was like the puppy on set that everybody would play with. You know, oh, I'll talk to Ari now. You know, and they would tell me jokes, and we would have fun. But see, Corey probably got terribly bored on set, so he liked to do things he did some little mischievous things, which, you know, I'm not going to talk about, but that got Ted upset. And so Ted was upset, and he let Corey know. So when he grabs him in that scene, you know, and he's really, you know, he really went for it. And they say that Corey was truly frightened.
Yeah.
Which is always good. And Ted White, my gosh, what an amazing person.
And he said that we watched.
I always say to him,
yeah, we watched that documentary, of course. I've watched it several times, and it's very good. And there, Ted White said, Corey Feldman,
mean little devil. I couldn't stand him. I wanted to kill him desperately. There were times when Corey got close to me that it took all my reserves to not just reach out and grab him and give him a good spanking.
And I remember once we cut and that take was over, everybody took me outside. Are you okay? Are you okay? No, I'm not okay. I was not okay.
I always say to him, to the Jasons deserve Ted White, because every time he's around, our property value goes up. I always tell him. No, it's amazing. I can't tell you how honored I am to be a part of that. Although I didn't ultimately go and become part of that whole Hollywood thing, but I have so much respect for it and admiration for it, and I love to watch the movies. And the fact that I got to kind of sit at the table at times with those gentlemen. I never take that for granted.
Mm. And what happened after Friday 1? It took 16 years before you did another movie.
Yeah, well, that's a great question. What did happen? What happened was I just went fully into learning to be a jazz piano player.
Yeah.
And so I had a fantastic teacher, Ms. Mahegan in Connecticut, who was part of the Juilliard School. And then so I got a scholarship, and I ultimately went to New York University. Dr. Billy Taylor gave me a scholarship. I worked with fantastic jazz musicians, and I really became a good jazz piano player. But then this thing happened, we had all this great jazz, we had like Pat Metheny, and we had, there was just great jazz. But then, okay, all of a sudden this kind of easy jazz, they called it, okay? And so maybe the star of that was Kenny G. I don't know if you guys know Kenny G.
Oh yeah,
we know. Star of smooth jazz. Okay, so here I was, and I wanted to be like a cutting edge jazz guy, but people just said, "Oh, look, you have long hair, you play jazz, you are Kenny G." And I said, "No, I want to do this and that," and they said, "No, Kenny G." So I just said, "Man, I got to look elsewhere." So I started working in world music. Okay, I started getting into reggae and African music in particular. And as luck would have it, I got to work for Interscope Records and Tough Gong Records, which was Bob Marley's label.
Oh, really?
As a keyboardist and background vocalist, because I was in New York. A lot of these bands would come from the Caribbean or from West Africa, and they would need a piano player, a keyboardist, a singer who could help put it all together, because they couldn't bring everybody over because of visas and all that.
Yeah.
So I ended up touring with some famous African artists and with some famous Jamaican artists. And I was doing that for years. I mean, I was just totally immersed in the world music scene. And we toured in Europe, we toured throughout America and Canada, and I even got to perform in West Africa. I got to go to the Ivory Coast, West Africa, yeah. On one of the first ever reggae sunsplash tours of West Africa. So I was learning a lot about reggae music and African music, and I was really, really into that. And that took all those years. And, I met my beautiful wife, Elaine, on that whole circuit. And we were living in New York City, and then kaboom, 9/11 happened, okay?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the world music scene it was like we were playing like all kinds of music, Arabic music, this music, that music. It was kind of like nobody wanted to hear anything. They just wanted to hear good old rock and roll. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and all the clubs closed, of course.
Yeah.
Because the whole, So here we were. What were we going to do? So we decided to move to Chicago because she had family here. Okay. So I set up here, and things are going good here. And somebody out of the blue sends me this letter. Mr. Lehman, did you sign this photo? And it's a photo of little Jason, and it's got my autograph on it. So I said, no, I didn't sign the photo. The guy's like, well, I just paid $50 on eBay for this picture. Aren't you the guy that played little Jason Voorhees? I'm like, yes. And then that opened up the whole thing. Turns out that person had forged my autograph, or as they claim, they had purchased the forgery, but they were nice enough to return some of the money to the fans. Okay. So I was like, okay. But then it dawns on me, look at this market. Look at this whole huge thing. So long story short, I was invited to be at a Fangoria convention, which was also a Chiller Theater convention at the Meadowlands in New Jersey, which is a huge place. and there were thousands of people there. And I met Betsy Palmer, and I met Kane Hodder, and
This was the first time?
Yes, I reunited with Tom Savini. And, you know, so I'm looking around, and at first I would actually bring my reggae music to the horror convention. And, you know, a lot of people were like, you know, man, I don't really listen to reggae, but this is pretty good, man. You know, like, you know, they were being cool. So I realized, you know, why don't I hit it where they live, you know, hit them where they live. So now when I was in college, I was good friends with Dave from Reagan Youth. And he would bring me over to CBGBs, and I got to see Bad Brains. I got to see Dead Kennedys. I got to see White Zombie at CBGBs. So, you know, I was digging it. So I had heard these things. I had heard these ideas. I had always been into prog rock, like Yes and Jethro Tull. So I wasn't all about jazz. You know, I dug all this stuff and world music. And so I thought, man, I should start a metal project. And so that was probably in like 2007. So,
Yeah.
You know, so as time passed, I got to meet certain musicians who really helped me a lot. One was a drummer from Cro-Mags. Another one was a bass player from the band Macabre, who everybody should be listening to, Macabre. And they're from Chicago. So, yeah, with the help of a lot of different wonderful people, I was able to put it together. And then, you know, after time passed, I was on that scene, and yeah, one of these independent horror film directors just walked up to me and said, I want you to play a role in my horror film. And I was like, that's a great idea. And I think that role was this bizarre character, the Circuit Breaker. I can't even remember the name of the movie now.
Nobody knows about the game except us.
The way I looked at it, guys, was what a great opportunity. Because if I was in Hollywood movies or TV, I would have to act just so, you know. Or if you were on theater, oh my God, theater, you know, you have to memorize your lines and everything. I said, wow, I could just act totally crazy, tear up the scenery. I was like, you know, this is fantastic. So, like, if you see my performance in Tales from Satan's Truck Stop,
I will check it out.
where I play Ray Ray, who runs a bordello in the middle of the woods.
Sounds like a good job.
Well, well, he ends up being, you know, he's eaten by a chupacabra, but you know, you'll see the. So, can I swear? Because he has some great lines.
Oh yeah.
He has
sure.
a line. One of his famous lines is, "For the love of butt and fuck, tarnation." Yeah. So I just said, you know, I'm going to go for it because, I mean, people are not going to take these things too seriously. Now, that said, you know, like when I was in Clown Motel.
I'm Ari Lehman, the first Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. And in Clown Motel, I play Psycan.
You know, I really do try to breathe life into these characters to make them authentic. But the thing that I think is so great about independent horror is that you could just go wild and be crazy and, you know, within reason. I'm not going to depart from the character itself, but to make that character as, you know, vivid as possible in a way that no one in Hollywood would ever let me do.
No.
But the indie films love it. So there you go.
Have you ever played the game Friday the 13th?
Well, I'm not a good video gamer, but my good buddy lives over a movie theater. So he projects the game onto this huge wall, and you know, then we sit there and smoke weed, and he plays the game, and I watch, and yeah, that's fantastic.
I'm
Of
really
course it was-
missing. I'm really missing a little Jason going around there doing the killings.
But wait, there's two instances where little Jason shows up in that game. Maybe you haven't reached there. You haven't reached the lake. There's a point at the lake. You get in a boat. I don't want to ruin it for you. You have to get the gas and put it in the motor of the boat.
But I've done that many times.
But did you get into the lake? The little Jason pops up. You don't remember? Little Jason pops up.
I haven't seen this. Oh
maybe
my
you didn't get to
fucking
that
God.
point. He's in there, but he just pops out of the lake. He doesn't do anything. He can't, he just scares you. And then there's another instance where they're in this hall, they're in the cabin, and it's like the hall of Jasons. And they show me there too. I'm in a glass case.
I haven't seen this either. What the fuck have I been doing?
Is this the same game?
What the fuck have I been doing?
Wait, you're talking about the Gun Media game. The new game. Yeah. No, yeah. There's two instances where little Jason is theirs.
I know what I'm gonna do afterwards. Fuck this.
Yeah. Me too.
He comes out. But you have to, as they've explained to me, you have to put the gas in the boat, and then you have to go across to go to the little pier. And just before you get there, and he comes out, and they did a great rendition. And he's like on screen for longer than I was in the movie.
Oh, that's fantastic. You know, Kane Hodder did all the moves for all the Jasons.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know Kane?
Which is good. Kane Hodder, he's the greatest. I love Kane. Kane is the best, man.
Keep watching, or I'll kill you and your whole family.
Kane not only reignited the character, but he's very important in terms of the whole relationship between horror celebrities and fans.
Yeah.
He really made that it was him and Sid Haig, Elvira, Bill Moseley. I'm sure I'm leaving a couple people out, but those at the beginning, they were very instrumental in breaking that wall and showing people how much fun it is to hang out with scary people.
I met him once. I was at the Screamfest 2006. I had a short film there, and I didn't know, but he was in Hatchet. He played Victor Crowley.
Yes.
And in the end there, Adam Green came up on stage and said, "We have some guests here tonight," and Kane Hodder, and I just froze, man. I just fucking freezed. And afterwards, after the screening, out in the hallway at the Man's Chinese, I just saw him standing there. I'm not going to let this opportunity go away. I'm just going to walk over there, shake his hand, and just say, hello. and I did that. And he just, and I said, can I take a picture? And I just shook his hand. Can I take a picture? Of course. And then he grabbed me by the neck. Like I've fucking never been grabbed before.
I was going to say, did he choke you? That's his thing.
It was just... And on the picture, you can see me smiling, but it's like...
That's his signature move.
Yeah.
That's his signature move. You know. He loves his fans so much.
Yeah.
He really does. It means so much to him. And I think that Hatchet is a triumph for him as well.
Yes,
but
it
of
is.
course, you know, for me, I think of him as Jason. And the fact that they did choose for him to do the motion capture in the video game was a great idea. And it kind of brought him back to the role in a certain way. And the cool thing was that he actually plays all these different Jasons.
Yeah.
You know. But again, because of the silly lawsuit, they had to stop all the new additions to that game.
Yeah. Hopefully it will end.
Well,
he's the best, but I have to say, you were the scariest.
Well,
of course.
I've said that to Kane. I've said, Kane, you know, you were brutal. But look at how much time it took you. It took you 4 movies, okay? And it's like I was on the screen for like 4 seconds.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
if you took the per capita number of people that I've scared per screen time, okay, then I'm the scariest monster in history when you think about it. The number of people that I've scared per second.
It's not quantity, it's quality, man.
That's right.
And
What's the point? You know, if it has to go on and on and on, they're not scared anyway, you know.
No.
Interestingly, I talked to Doug Bradley about this. Doug, and I do think that the Hellraiser series, the sequels are very strong, and I love all of that. So I'm a big fan. I love Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Because why? Because I love that Shakespearean thing and you are doomed, you know, that kind of whole vibe. So you called us, we came. And so I said to Doug one time, you know, I was like, man, I love Hellraiser. But he doesn't like Friday the 13th. So he's like, Ari, I love you. But Friday the 13th, I don't know. So I said, well, tell me, what's the story? And it pertains to this idea of the per capita scare per second. I said, look, you know, well, he says, you came out of the water as the cadaver and then you're gone. He said, in my movie, this cadaver comes out of the floorboards for a specific reason, but then he asks you for a cigarette. And then he asks you for a drink. And then he asks you for much more. So you know, there's a similarity there, but yeah, I don't know. But I still think little Jason is scarier.
Yeah, as you said, you know, the more we see the monster, the less scary it gets.
In a way, it's true. It takes on a different aspect. It's not that jump scare. It's more of a psychological, creepy.
Exactly.
Thing. Yeah.
When you compare, when we, me and Tommy, or I compare, you know, the Friday the 13th films, you know what that's why I put up Ted White, exactly. You know, you see Jason very little in part 4. In part 8, part 7, you see him more or less all the time. And that's, you know, it's not that scary anymore. So that's the reason why 4 scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Because we don't see him. He's just this mystical figure who lurks around. And he strikes when he strikes. You don't see him walking through the woods like this big, tall, busty guy. He just comes in and gets you, and it's over.
Yeah, like death.
Yeah,
you see him,
exactly.
You're dead.
Yeah, he comes in, picks you up.
He has a certain invisibility. Yeah, well, I think that is a good rule of thumb for all horror directors.
Yeah.
You know, minimize the appearance of that monster and make it really count so that your special effects really, you know,
it pays off.
A special effect.
Yeah.
And, you know, now that we have CGI all over the place, people are leaning on that in a different way. What I loved about the old films, like the Hammer horror films, right? You always have this one character that has seen the monster.
Yeah.
You know, and they come, oh my God, don't go out there, don't, and then they die, you know, or something, or like the guy who sees the mummy at the beginning of The Mummy and laughs to death. And you know what's wild about that? For all the money and time that they spent covering Karloff's face, very, very, so much. But you go back and watch that first scene, and they must have used every ounce of restraint, but you don't see him. You only see him when he's like this in the coffin, and he opens his eye. You guys remember? You just see his eye.
Yeah.
You just see the glint of his eye. Now, then you see his hand. Very effective. You see his hand on that box. Oh, don't open the box. Don't open the box. But he opens the box, And then the only thing you see, because he turns around and you're like, you want to see the monster, you know, but you just see his leg and some of his wrappings. And it's not because they didn't have him in full makeup. They had him in full makeup, and it painstakingly took hours.
Yeah.
But they must have said to themselves, if we reveal the whole thing now, you know, just show these little glimpses. And in fact, I'm almost positive that that's the only time during the shooting of The Mummy that the character was in full chorus mummy makeup, because later, of course, he's Ahmet Bey with the hat, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's amazing, and I think that we have to look at those classics. I mean, my God, you know, that was one of the most amazing makeups of all time. But the fact that, you know, so, and Victor has said that to me too. I've run different ideas by Victor, and he's like, no, too much monster. You can't show all that monster at the beginning. You got to hide the monster. So, you know.
Didn't he write that, not a paper, scissor, dead? Did he write that as well?
Yeah. Victor did a lot of soap opera writing.
Okay.
You know? And so, like, for instance, see, I have a theory, and I doubt Victor will admit this, but if you see the movie Dementia 13, okay, that was Francis Ford Coppola's first movie. It's black and white. The beginning, you have two people. It's magnificent because it's this, they're in a boat on a lake, and it's nighttime. And it's this couple, and she's all like, don't row too fast, honey, because you'll get a heart attack. And, you know, but as the story unfolds, it's basically Friday the 13th set in a wealthy mansion. It's about a woman who, as you remember, commemorates the death of her daughter by drowning on a certain day every year. And she feels that the daughter is communicating to her in these different ways, and all these other things happen, but it's very much like, it's very similar to the story of Friday the 13th in many ways. Like, they have certain characters who deliberately mislead you as to thinking that that's the killer. And then when the whole thing is revealed, it's a very similar reveal. And it has a very brutal kill scene, which is underwater. It's a great movie. But I think that, and that movie has some real, if you will, soap opera elements, in the sense that it's about a wealthy woman who's remembering her daughter, and then it's all about her children and the ones who are loyal to her and they're not loyal to her, and the one who's really trying to screw her over. It's very soap opera-y. And I honestly think Victor must have seen that movie before he wrote Friday the 13th. Now, I don't know if he would, of course he could admit that, but there's a lot of similarities. So I put it to your viewers to review Dementia 13 and check out the similarities there. But again, that wouldn't be in any way criticizing Victor, because it's always great when they draw from a good source, because everything's derivative anyway.
You see Friday the 13th Part 2, there's this shish kebab scene in the bed. The spike goes through two people having sex. And, there is another film, an Italian film, made by Mario Bava. It has the same exact scene, but they say that they've never seen that film. You see, it's easy to copy other people.
But I mean, there are some ideas you could say that are probably common ideas that are shared, and I don't know, there's certain ideas that are so tempting there. So, that they have to utilize. I've often heard people say, Twitch of the Death Nerd.
Yeah, it's the same film.
Are we
with the
losing you?
crystal plume.
There you are. Well, we thought
still
we
here?
thought we lost you. Now the video is
I
really
don't know.
lagging again.
Yeah.
Maybe everyone in America is going back online, I suppose.
Yeah. I really wanted to ask you,
Yes, Tommy.
what's your favorite Friday the 13th besides the first one?
Oh gosh, that's no fair. Well, no, I honestly, it's part 7.
Okay.
I think they're all great, but honestly, it's part 7. Very often I watch, I like part 3 a lot. I think Richard Brooker did a great job. But I love part 7 because there's Psychic Tina, and you have this other element where he has a foil psychic. And I love how she there's that one scene where she's throwing farm implements at him. And then she makes the roof burning and it falls and his mask comes off.
Yeah, it's
And
fantastic.
he's looking at her. Yeah, I like that moment.
And
I think that's
he's
great.
angry there. He's angry there.
He's like, bitch.
Yeah.
Come on. He's very pissed off. And yeah, I love that. I think that there's a lot going there. I don't know why not all the fans really love that, but I like that character.
I love it.
Tina and that whole element,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's
and
my
I think they
it's
were
my
really
number 2.
going somewhere there.
Yeah.
Do you have a part
Okay.
which you don't like?
Now you can ask me that. No, I like it all.
Okay,
I like it all.
that's fair.
I mean, there's some elements. I will say this, that if there was any element that would be my least favorite, it would be part 2, because I felt when part 2 came out with the canvas sack,
Yeah.
I thought, oh man, because also that there's a movie called The Town That Dreaded
That is
Sundown,
sundown.
and they have the same thing, and
Same sack.
There's a lot of elements there. Although I know a lot of fans love that movie, so but for me, I didn't like that direction, and it was kind of it was more involved with counselors and that stuff. What I love about part 7 is that it takes a real direction where it's like we're really discover the underlying causes of different elements, and it's just more cohesive.
Yeah. 2 more questions. When I say Jason versus Freddy, what do you think?
Yes. Well, what I think is 2 things. One is that film has the biggest box office next to the film that I was in of all the Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
The 2 top Friday the 13th box offices are for the original and Freddy versus Jason,
Yeah.
as the movie is called. I like that you put Jason first. But
Of course, I always
also,
do. I always do.
Ken Kersinger, who plays Jason in Freddy versus Jason, is a great friend of mine and just a lot of fun. He's got a great sense of humor, and we've had a few drinks together, and he's the Canadian Jason.
Yep.
And he's just a wonderful person, and I was like working with him and hanging out with him. He often will come from Canada with Brad Lorry, who played Michael. So it's like Michael and Jason. And gosh, the last time we were in Germany, and Ken went off after the convention. We were in Dusseldorf, and he went to Ketzingen because he's Kurzinger, and so it's actually the hometown where he comes from, family came from. So he just went off in an adventure, you know, and I'm sure the fans over there would love him, as they'd love Kane, of course, you know, and everybody, all CJ Graham, and everybody's part 6, Jason, and, you know, Derek Mears. They're all wonderful guys. It's just, I happen to have worked many times with Ken, and we've just partied a lot together. What was the other question?
Yeah, the reboot. What did you think about the 2009 Friday the 13th?
I think Derek Mears was outstanding as Jason Voorhees.
Yes.
I feel that it's very brutal.
Yes.
The brutality, his just sheer, his body language, and he's very muscular.
He's very Ted Whitish. Ted Whitish.
Yes, but like
even more.
You don't want to be near that at all. You know, it's like, and he moves kind of quickly. No, I liked that. Certain elements of the script I thought were not all that well thought out, but there you go. But see, I find fun in all of them. I like Jason X, you know. I like Jason X. I think Jason X is a lot of fun, especially the kill sequence with the liquid nitrogen or something.
Fantastic.
That's got to be one of the greatest kill sequences of all time. Just genius. And
that,
we love
and
how
the sleeping bag.
And that they did sleeping bag twice, and in Jason X they do it again on the holodeck kind of thing. So, you know, I thought that was fun. Obviously it's a stretch of the imagination, but also in Jason X, it's the only time Jason gets to be anywhere near any girls. You know, he goes in there, the 2 girls kind of tease him, and then that robot girl jumps out. You know, that's all he gets. But
besides, Jason Goes to Hell. There,
but he kind of is he Jason anymore?
No, it's like this snake thingy, demon-like.
Yeah,
he's a nasty.
He's crawled up.
He's a nasty little demon.
Sister.
He turned into Corey Feldman. What? See, there.
It's a perfect circle.
Go. We could just get Corey possessing Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
Corey has been possessed by Jason.
I just wanted to grab him.
Yeah, and we could have Ted White in the movie.
Yeah. He's probably out working anyway.
That's true. I'm telling you, right now he's completing the 400th push-up of the hour.
Yeah, but okay. This has been fucking fantastic.
Yes.
What a start.
Absolutely.
This is the first episode. And to have you on here, it's been an honor.
Fantastic, you know.
Thank you so much. No, gentlemen, it's been a blast. Tommy and Severin, it has really been fun. And please, let's share this with all the fans. They're just going to love it. And let everybody in Norway know, and all over there know, that First Jason has 2 new songs up, The Scapegoat and The Price of Peace. And we have the Scapegoat Demon remix coming up. So keep your ears open for that. And we're going to get ourselves overseas as soon as they open the shipping lanes again.
Good to hear.
You know, we have to talk about it.
Get a Viking ship.
Yeah. And we'll be standing ready for you.
What if Jason was a Viking?
Yeah.
See, there's a whole movie right there, guys.
Could happen.
How did Jason come to America? And we have him on a Viking ship. You know, he's going.
Yeah, he's been on a ship before, though.
All right.
He went to Vancouver once.
It's true. With his arm through the porthole.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's true. It's true.
But okay.
What a great franchise.
But are you guys all set?
Yeah, we're all
think
set down.
we
Yeah,
Thank you so
yeah.
much. I'm so glad.
It's,
Jason Aldrich Thor.
Awesome.
Thor Aldrich.
It's
Well,
great.
rock and roll, you guys. Remember, Jason never dies. Stay in touch. Send me the link so I can share this with everybody.
Of course. We'll be in touch, Ari, anyway. I'll edit this thing together, and I'll send you the link, and we'll just talk about that.
Fantastic. And you know that clip that you made for me? I'm going to use that. I'm going to use it all the time because
cool, man.
It's beautiful. I'm going to use it all the time, and I'll credit you.
Cool.
I really appreciate that.
Thanks, man. Let's just talk and have a great day.
Take care.
Thank you so much for your time.
You too. Thank you so much. Thank you. Take care, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Stay
you
good.
too. Stay good. Bye. Skal vi ta en pissepause før vi snakker mer?
Ja, kanskje litt mer enn en pissepause.
Ja.